other than Jared Branthwaite, he has been able to pick his best side for me.
Well, that's your opinion, isn't it?
3 games in, so you probably know where this is going, don't you?
Oh, go on.
No, I don't want to be like, you see it all the time, a lot of people criticising Dyche and Dyche out and stuff like that, you see it. And I know on Twitter and, social media, it can't be considered the main barometer for Everton opinion or football opinion, but, I'm just going to read some mini stats here.
Okay.
Obviously lost our first 3 Premier League games, but we've got 5 wins in the last 24 and 22 points out of a possible 72. He kept us up. I guess that's, we're thankful for that, and that's the main overriding stat that you want to look into. But it's not a good start at the end of the day. I know it was a good performance, but after this international break now, it's Villa, Leicester, both away.
Yeah.
Then Crystal Palace. Where are you on the situation, and where do you see our next win coming, really?
Yeah. I think it's very difficult. There's so many painful moments for Evertonians, isn't there? And I think Joe wrote in his verdict, just when you think they've taken a step forward, then something happens like this and take a step back. Unfortunately, last season started in a similar manner in terms of they didn't get their first win. It wasn't until October, wasn't it? So again, Bournemouth, wasn't it? First,
Brentford.
Sorry,
away.
first home win. Yeah, it was at Brentford, wasn't it? Brentford away at the end of September, and then first home win was the following week at Bournemouth. Yeah. So it looks like it could be sort of panning out similar to that, and that's very bitterly disappointing, given that we sort of looked at those fixtures, and I think when they came out, you'd said, okay, everyone knew Tottenham was going to be tough. Like those home games against Brighton and Bournemouth, quite rightly, you was thinking, yeah, there's points to be had there. I think everyone at the moment, it's extreme because of the way things unravelled. In many ways, if you sort of take out the pain, the numbness of just the ridiculousness of it on Saturday, there's a lot more to get out of that positive than the previous week at Tottenham, where they're just well beaten. They were just, sort of tossed aside by Tottenham. We have to try at least to be measured in that. And what I would say is that for me, this season is all about just people keeping their heads and doing the right things and sort of getting Everton intact to that new stadium as a Premier League club. Just don't do anything stupid. And to be fair with the people at the top, if you'd have said to us back on 1st of June, just after Felwell had made his comments in the final programme of last season when he said players will have to be sold, if you'd have said, well, Jared Branthwaite still be at Everton, Dominic Calvert-Lewin still be at Everton, and they'd signed 8 players over the summer, I think we'd all have taken that. We'd all been very, very pleased with that. And that's why I think, whatever you think of Sean Dyche, good, bad or indifferent, and obviously things will sort of take their natural course when a new owner comes in and his contract expires at the end of the season. I think if Sean Dyche stays in now, the fact that you've got Branthwaite to come, it's going to be a huge booster. Calvert-Lewin's up and running. I think if everyone just keeps their head, Everton can still finish like 12th or 13th this season. I think, and just don't do anything silly. They've got that strength and depth now. They've got all those positives that we talk about. It's quite right that we talk about all those incredible negatives of the way the game finished on Saturday. I think if everyone just keeps their head, keeps things ticking over, we just want a season that doesn't have all the dramas of last year and the year before that, and on and off the field. I think Everton can still have a decent season and sort of avoid major catastrophes. But yeah, it's gonna be tough these next few weeks, because obviously until they do get that win, and they really should have got it on Saturday. Everyone's going to get increasingly twitchy until that moment comes.
Connor, pretty much the same question. A lot of fans suggesting that Saturday was kind of the last straw, but there's still definitely a lot of fans, in support of Dyche, kind of like, what Chris is saying there, maybe give him time, a win will come. Where are you on it all?
You still got to stick with him, give him time. I think, one thing, we spoke about the options he's got, but he hasn't probably had all them. He hasn't had them options available to him. He hasn't had the chance to put his best team out, has he, this season? I think it's safe to say.
No, certainly with Branthwaite out. Yeah.
Yeah, and probably now with Ndiaye maybe coming in, and obviously Timur Baboumu has emerged as this gem that perhaps we didn't see coming.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you've got to give him time. You've got to, he's got certainly got enough credit in the bank for what he's done the last 2 seasons. When he first come in, keeping Everton up the way he did. No one. I think we all got really nervous after the Newcastle hammering, made a 4-1 home game last season. The way it looked like it was turning one way, and then he done extremely well to turn it back the other way, didn't he? With them 3 wins in 6 days, they were solid, got points on the board. So yeah, he's got more than enough credit in the bank, I think. Naturally, and I did write this, naturally, for Dyche, boom often, bus stops and follows booms, doesn't it? The modern day Everton, and questions will grow after that, because that's only natural. Because obviously, everyone was hurting and probably, a little bit seething by what they witnessed unfold. But I think, in the cold light of day, he's got more than enough credit in the bank and deserves enough, a lot more time to turn things around.
That's fine, and I don't necessarily disagree with you, despite my obvious frustrations with Sean Dyche. You do say that he hasn't had a chance to put out his full strength team. The only really player that he hasn't been able to put out is Jared Branthwaite.
Well, no, because you could say Dyer's now emerged as someone who you play every week, wouldn't you?
No, which is fine, but he's had the option to put him out from the start.
But if he wasn't fit, though, we don't. This is what I'm saying. We don't know, do we? If he wasn't at the fitness levels required to play, then he's not going to play, is he? And like we've seen, Sean Dyche is the ultra cautious manager when it comes to this.
Yeah.
I think in the past we've seen managers who've probably taken the let's face it, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a prime example of there's been managers at Everton who've clearly gambled on him being 70% fit and put him in, and it's backfired because he then gets injured and spends even more time on the sideline. Dyche didn't play until he was probably 150% fit, but he's reaped the benefits because you think of how well he played last season when it mattered most, and you look at this season, he looks again a better player for it. Now he's got a goal, you just hope that he'd kick on. I thought once he got that goal on Saturday, he'd become a different animal up top. I thought he'd been really good before that, but he was outstanding. So we don't know the science behind what Sean Dyche bases these things on.
Look, I'm going to come back at you there, and I think all of it is speculation because Dyche being available, and I don't want to dwell too much on this point. It's not the point I'm trying to make. I think it is a big glaring admission from the starting 11, Jared Branthwaite. We joked, it was me and you, wasn't it, the other day, joked that Manchester United only wanted to spend 45 million. Well, he's probably worth 150 million to us now. He's priceless. He's priceless. Exactly. That was the joke, yeah. Which is fine. So I get that. He could come in to the starting lineup and he could change everything, because let's face it, how many goals we conceded in 3 Premier League
10
games?
goals.
10. So there's obviously an issue, regardless of whether Saturday's performance was good enough. There's an issue, but he's also spent £18 million on a central defender in Jake O'Brien, and Michael Keane scored.
£80 million?
18 million.
Oh, I thought you said 80.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
He spent the money on Jake O'Brien, and I know you're going to go, well, he might not be fit and he might be this and stuff like that, but 3 goals against Brighton, 4 against Tottenham, 3 against Bournemouth. Keane scored on Saturday, so that's fine. It's hard to argue with that. But one of Sean Dyche's biggest strengths is setting his team up to defend, and at the end of the day, would be the 4th most clean sheets. So he deserves all praise for that. But this season, I feel like he's sticking kind of with what he knows, and it's failing. It's failed so far, regardless of whether he wanted. So I think the point is, other than Jared Branthwaite, he has been able to pick his best side for me.
Well, that's your opinion, isn't it?
Okay.
No, I mean, I know what you're saying. I think it's tough. Well, it's tough, isn't it? Because I just think you've got to give him more time and to make a proper judgment call.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I think he's got a tough few weeks ahead of him when he gets back off that international break, because, like Chris alluded to earlier, they're not easy away games to go to. Villa Park is, I know Everton won there in the Carabao Cup last season, didn't he? But prior to that, it's been a notoriously tough place for the Blues to crack down the years. Yeah. And Leicester away probably already has a bit of a edgy relegation fear about it, doesn't it? It's in many people's eyes because of where Leicester find themselves in the league table. So, yeah, there are 2 huge games coming up for Dyche, which probably will start making more judgment calls, won't we, as we get to the end of September, heading into October.